Thank you and welcome back to my show, Investigate with Me, and I will be your host, Mimi. But before we actually start today's show, I would like to welcome any new subscribers, or if anybody who just, dropped by and decided to just check out this girl who's talking about cases and say, hey, I know this girl, she's actually talking about some criminal case. You should check her out, whether it's to your friends, family, whoever, even some random person on the street. Just feel free to remind them to don't forget to hit the subscribe button to make sure the notification bell is on so you'll know to receive any, notification of any upcoming shows that I'll be investigating. Don't forget to also like and don't forget to also leave comments below if you have any suggestions and any stories you want me to look up for you that, you're interested in knowing. So, without further ado, let us begin. The year is 1996. James Patterson Smith abused 17-year-old girlfriend Kelly Ann Bates for a month before killing her. James and Kelly met when Kelly babysat for a friend of hers. She was unaware of James' history of abusing young, vulnerable women prior to her. James was actually 32 at the time when he had met Kelly. They actually moved in together. But however, in England, 17 are considered an adult, so her parents could not even help her even if they tried. And as a result of that, James killed Kelly months later. James Smith and Kelly Ann started dating when she was 14 years old. They actually managed to keep their relationship a secret from her parents for the past 2 years. Her parents later found that Kelly Ann was dating James but was unaware of the age that he was, which was actually 32 years old. On November 1995, when Kelly Ann moved in with James, that's when the abuse began. However, prior to the move-in date, Bates would come home visiting her parents with bruises on several occasions. Bates' parents were concerned with their daughter's relationship with James. Her parents stated that their daughter would actually come home with bruises and bite marks. Bates would actually lie and said that it was a result to an accident and when she was actually attacked by a gang of girls from her school. Bates' parents did not agree with Kelly Ann's decision to move in with James, but would ask for her to keep in touch with them. When Bates would actually come to visit, Bates' parents actually saw a hole where the teenager daughter was actually reported to be held by Smith. But this is afterwards during the investigation, though. So Kellyanne would ask about what is the reason for having a hole on the floor that they actually found. And Smith then had reported it was a floorboard due to a gas leak. But then, however, months later, it was reported that Smith would actually keep Bates in the same hole. Kellyanne's mother suspected that her daughter may be undergoing through a DV situation, domestic violence. So the mother decided to contact the local police before her daughter's death and told them about her concerns regarding her daughter. Bates would actually come home with bruises and occasionally bite marks. Domestic violence department encouraged the parent to give information and also pamphlets to assist identifying abuse and how to leave the situation. Kelly Ann's mother did not get the chance to give the pamphlets to her daughter. Police could not actually pursue Smith as he had no prior criminal record and no one reported him for a history of DV. A month before Bates' death, Smith placed her to horrific tortures during the weeks until her death. Smith was known to use knives, pruning scissors, forks, several pairs of scissors, and also a spade to symmetrically harm her. He also reported to burn Bates all over her body using a hot iron and boiling water. The coroner reported that Bates had a broken arm and shattered kneecaps. According to autopsy, Smith actually gouged out her eyes 3 weeks before she died. Bates sustained at least 150 injuries in total. April 16, 1996. Smith went to the local police station and told them his girlfriend drowned in a bathtub. After knocking Bates unconscious, with a shower nozzle. Smith then forced her head under the water. He thought she was playing dead, as she would in the past. Like, as if anybody's gonna believe that. God, what a sick guy. Anyway, when the police arrived, they found Bates' blood smeared on the floor and walls in every room of the house. Despite evidence of torture, Smith maintained her death was an accident and her injuries were self inflicted. History had showed Smith had been married for 10 years in a relationship that ended in 1980 after years of abuse. Smith had no previous criminal record or documented evidence of his violence against women. During the trial for the murder of Bates, two women came forward to testify against Smith as an abuser. Smith had a history dating two young women. 15-year-old Wendy, who actually claimed Smith would held her head in a kitchen sink filled with water in an attempt to drown her. Wendy would also say, "It frightened me, but you get to the point where you're too frightened to do anything or say anything. You just took it." 20-year-old Tina Watson, when she began her 2 year relationship, Watson was pregnant with Smith's baby. Smith treated her like a quote punching bag. Once I was having a bath and he got me to the throat and tried to push me under the water. It took the jurors less than an hour to come back with a guilty verdict. After viewing the disturbing images from Bates' autopsy and hearing detailed description of the torture Smith committed, the jurors reported that they were traumatized. Manchester Crown Court offered professional counseling services to the jurors, which all of the jurors accept. As we come into the end of our story, wow, this was pretty horrific. I mean, honestly speaking, I didn't know if I should have done this story, but I felt like we should explore that. But obviously, it just showed that this man did had a history of abuse. It was just so unfortunate that in the UK, the legal age of, I guess, a minor is technically like anything below 16, 17. So it's just a shame that being that she was an adult, it was, her parents couldn't necessarily get involved to what was going on. But coming into the end of this show, if someone has experienced, witnessed, and or knows someone who's being abused, including yourself, help is always available. You can call the domestic violence hotline number for both the UK and the United States, which will be listed under the contact information where the description box is listed. So as we come to an end, I would like to thank you for tuning in and, sharing with me with Investigate with me. And I am your host, Mimi, and we'll talk again. And stay safe.